The top court uploaded the letters to the centre, publicly refuting its objections, even criticizing the Justice Department for repeatedly sending back the Collegium's recommendations. In an unprecedented development in the Govt Vs Collegium war, the top court has countered all the government's contentions over the statements, social media posts and even the sexual orientation of the candidates in public. This comes days after Law Minister Kiren Rijiju wrote a letter to Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, to suggest a nominee of the Union Government in the Supreme Court Collegium and a state representative in each of the High Court Collegiums. This also comes after Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar said the judiciary should know its limits, which the opposition called an extraordinary attack. As the centre continues its campaign to reform the collegium system, appointments to key judicial posts seem to be caught in limbo. So let me take you through the impasse between the Supreme Court and the centre, or the government of the centre. First, there is Advocate Saurabh Kirpal. He has been recommended to the Delhi High Court. The government's contention is that Kirpal's partner is a Swiss national. The Collegium's counter is that many spouses of constitutional office holders are foreign nationals, and the country of origin is a friendly country, and hence this argument doesn't really hold. The government's contention also in case of Kirpal is that he is open about his sexual orientation. The Collegium's counter is that citizens entitled to maintain their dignity and individuality, and the advocate has not been superstitious about his orientation, and he will provide inclusion and diversity to the bench, and rightly so. Then there is another advocate, Soma Sekar Sundaresan. He has been recommended to the Bombay High Court. The government's reservation on him is that he shares his views on social and traditional media. The Collegium's counter is that all citizens have the right to free speech and expression, and the gentleman here is a man of competence and merit. Then there is another advocate, R. John Satyan. He has been recommended to the Madras High Court. The government's contention is that he shared an article critical of Prime Minister Modi and shared an article on a NEET-linked suicide, calling it a political betrayal. The Collegium's counter is that the IB report notes he has no overt political leanings, adding that sharing articles does not impinge on suitability, character and integrity. Then there are advocates Amitesh Banerjee and Sakya Sen, recommended to the Calcutta High Court. The government's contention is that IB inputs cite the candidates as unsuitable. The recommendations were sent back to the Collegium 3 times. The Collegium's counter is that inputs have no fresh material or ground to deny appointment, adding that it is not open to the Justice Department repeatedly sending back proposals. This is clearly that the judiciary and the government is on collision course. So what does it mean now for the appointment of judges? Joining me on the show, Mrilanali Deshmukh is a Supreme Court advocate, Abha Singh, lawyer and activist. We also have Rekha Agarwal, Supreme Court advocate, and Shashank Shekhar Jha, also a lawyer. Shashank, the delay in Kirpal's recommendation has over the years garnered criticism in legal circles, with many speculating that it was due to his sexual orientation. And now it has become clear that it was indeed, that is the reason. The government also repeatedly objected his elevation, claiming that there is conflict of interest as his partner is European and works with the Swiss embassy. So the truth is now out. And will it now be seen that this government opposition to these lawyers is just about biases?
Namaste Maria ji and every other fellow panelists. Maria ji, I do not, for that point, think that the government objection against any senior lawyer recommendation to High Court or Supreme Court is based on one fact or other, and that is why while Supreme Court today has gave a clear, big justification as to why they are re-recommending someone's name, they have also give the reason why they are choosing for the same. But the matter of the fact is that we still are unaware of the fact that what were the exact recommendations or objections of raw of that word IB. So to say that government had certain reservations based on a certain fact, and now there is a clarification by Supreme Court, will not do justice in this. And the point number two is that the main matter of concern here is Advocate Kripal. Now, Advocate Kripal is the concern because he's the son of a retired CGI himself. So the point of nepotism and recommendation among families of the judges of Supreme Court.
Then that should have been specified in the reservation that the government had. Mrinalini, come in on this. Whether it's about nepotism, that has been the largest point that has been made by the government, that they are hoping for transparency in the entire appointment system. But if we look at what will be seen as an unprecedented move, with all the objections now out in the public domain, would you say that this is embarrassing for the government?
Absolutely, and in no uncertain words. At the outset, the recommendation of the Collegium, and if you see the recommendation of Mr. Saurabh Kripal, it is pending for the last 5 years.
That's right.
From the Delhi High Court recommendation, then again, once again, November 2021, and now it has come. And what is the objection of the government about his orientation, sexual orientation? Is that what a criteria that decides who's a good judge or not a good judge? Is it the caliber, is it the integrity, is it the years of experience and wisdom that really matters in the appointment of judges? And I think that is the most important thing that the government is missing out. With an intent, and I have, with a lot of responsibility, I make this statement, that with an intent to interfere in the judiciary, the government is coming out with some of the excuses which are not only very lame, but they are absolutely untenable even otherwise.
Okay.
And that is why the Collegium, I think it's a brilliant way that they have responded to it by all the objections that they have taken with regards to Mr. Kripal or with regards to Mr. Somashekhar of what their contentions are. And if you ask any person, forget, you don't need a lawyer to tell that these are the most bizarre objections that have been taken.
Okay.
Some
what are your thoughts,
are circulated, some things
if
which
I'm
are there.
I'm looking at various, points that have been put out. Sakya Sen and Amitesh Banerjee and others. It actually looks like that the objections really do not hold. I mean, what kind of point is it that he is being seen as highly biased, opinionated person? Is that really an issue if you are made a Supreme Court judge or a High Court judge? Because you're opinionated and that is the reason why you should not be considered?
Maria, if you go by the Constitution, Article 217 is very clear. Either you've been in a judicial officer for 10 years or you've been a good advocate in practicing, for repute in the High Court. So nowhere does it say your orientation or whether you've tweeted somewhere or you've written an article. So when you're fulfilling the parameters and it's the Collegium which is decided, the government has no business to interfere. And IB, we know, are officers sitting over there.
We'll try and connect with Abha Singh in just a bit. Okay, Abha, please go ahead.
So my issue is the judiciary has to be independent. Government interference cannot be there, come what may, because the basic structure of the Constitution depends on an independent judiciary. These are all flimsy grounds. Soma Sundar Sekhar has been a brilliant lawyer in Bombay High Court. He was a journalist for a short while. We've seen him evolve, and I think he would be an asset to Bombay High Court. So all these people who are legal luminaries have a right to be there, and I think government should get the message that the present CGI is not going to budge.
Okay, and is this how you see it, Rekha? Because if you look at the points of reconsideration that has seen the back and forth between the government and the Collegium, actually talks about why the collegium was backing a particular lawyer for elevation and the government's reasons for objecting regarding the same. And in case of Somashekhar Sundaresan, who Abha Singh says that he is a very respectable, he's going to be a respectable judge because he has great experience. Just look at the difference of opinion. It is being said by the collegium that he has honesty, integrity, legal soundness, and I think that is a great qualification to have, ability and endurance. And on the government's objection is highly opinionated person and selectively critical on the social media on the important policies and initiatives and directions of the government, and has ideological leanings.
I think in both the cases, it is a big embarrassment to the government, and I'm very happy. In fact, I'm really very glad to know that the present CGI has been so open and so transparent, about this entire issue, having made public the reasons the government has given for ticking off the names of two very, very capable lawyers who deserve to be elevated long back. I think that talking first about Mr. Saurabh Kirpal, this case has been pending for the last 5 years, and it is shocking that in our country, where Article 377 has already been set aside, it has been decriminalized, then yet the government can raise this objection in his case. Both the issues that were raised were absolutely untenable, and it is in a constitutional framework. I think that these reasons do not stand water at all. The one that he's very open about his
sexual orientation, why should it be held against him?
Why should he be going inside? Why should he be hiding in the closet? In fact, that was the entire purpose of decriminalizing 377 as being unconstitutional. So once that has been, that reason just cannot be accepted at any cost. Second reason, that his partner is a Swiss national. The RAW has already analyzed the entire issue, that whether that could be a security threat, etc. And that issue has also been given a clean chit. So once those two issues, the government is very well aware. I wonder who advises the government to give such kind of opinions in the first place, which on the face of it, prima facie, are absolutely untenable in the eyes of law. In India, we are governed by the Constitution. That is supreme. So both these arguments that have been given by the government, I'm very happy that our present CGI has made them public. And even if now the government doesn't realize, and
so what will it do now? I mean, how are you seeing, Mrilanini, how this entire issue will pan out now?
It's a big face-off. This is going to be a very big face-off between the government and the judiciary.
Yes. Go ahead.
I think more than the face-off, I think the government should understand the independence of judiciary. There is a system which is in place for the selection of the judges, and which is based on the different criteria, as my friend Abha has already stated, as mentioned. The point over here is that the idea of the government to control the judiciary is something which, I think any citizen will object to it. It's an independent body deciding what thing. That has nothing to do with your opinions. Again, tomorrow you'll call them, they're seditious in nature. I don't know to what extent they will go. Today you are entitled. Now, does it mean that if I am a woman, then I am going to be biased if I am elevated to the bench and I am going to be pro-women? A judge is a judge. A judge has no gender. A judge has no such orientation.
Yes.
A judge is a constitutional which decides the matters based on the facts and the law and the constitution. Now, how does these personal things come into in the way unless they are harmful to the integrity of the nation,
in that case,
or to the institution that we are talking about?
Now that all the objections are there in the public domain, it clearly looks like that the judiciary has made up its mind that the collegium system they think is the best system, and that they feel that it has all the ingredients to ensure that they make the best lawyers the judges in terms of elevation that happens in the high courts and also in the Supreme Court, and hence there should be no interference. I think this is a point which is sending a clear message to the government that they cannot push the manner in which they are doing.
Mariaji, I guess I have 3 points here. See, when someone on your show says that a biased opinion about anything XYZ have no role for the appointment of a judge in a constitutional court, I don't think that holds a value. You need to have an independent, unbiased opinion to be appointed as a constitutional court judge. So that is point number one. Point number two, when you say that collegium is the best thing because Supreme Court has decided that, I again disagree, because the constitution drafted by under the supervision of Baba Sahab Ambedkar, that Dr. Ambedkar clearly stated that we cannot give this liberty to the Supreme Court judge to appoint the judges of Supreme Court and High Court. And point number
No,
three,
let the Supreme Court and the judges decide how they want to appoint.
No, you need to hear me.
No, I mean the entire premise, and if you look at the objections to say that a particular person has sexual orientation, is that a reason strong enough? Not really. And particularly when you say that it has already been decriminalized in India. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Abha Singh, Rekha Agarwal, Shashank Shekhar and Ms. Deshmukh. We are slipping into a short break. Lots more news and updates on the other side.
Bajrang Punia